Hi, folks.
Hi, Ajay.
Hi, Ajay. Shrikant here.
Shrikant, you get the Brave Award of the day.
Why is that?
First person to turn on the camera.
Right. No, I followed you. I followed the leader.
Excellent. Excellent. Good to see you, Shrikant. Where are you based, Shrikant?
We are based in Bangalore.
And the situation is borderline or bad?
Nothing better than wherever you are also. I mean, everywhere it's the same.
I know.
So we have
Actually,
started
Delhi is,
working.
I think Delhi, where I am, is perhaps the only city which is under total lockdown, 24 hours, 7 days.
Right. Bangalore, they want to kind of see that the last resort after Prime Minister's address also, right? So I think lockdown may not be the last thing, right? I mean, we should try it out obviously as the end result. Otherwise, we should contain any which ways, because a lot of people are dependent on going on making money, right? I mean, they have to earn also.
No, every day we've seen the disruption last year. We are still hurting from it.
Right.
Even today, we are doing workshops for startups on how to recover from last year's COVID.
I know. I mean, one of my friends who is also founder of a company had written a really, kind of very touching message.
हाँ मेरे ये क्लास चल रही है मैं करता हूँ बाद में 4 बजे फ्री होगा
अनिल भाई क्लास नहीं बोलो इसको प्लीज अनिल भाई
That's funny.
अनिल भाई क्लास नहीं है ये अब अनिल की क्लास ले रहा हूँ मैं
You're muted.
अनिल की
Now
क्लास
you're muted.
अब अनिल की क्लास ली जा रही है for sure.
Anil, you have said so much and you're on mute.
No, I actually muted him. Maybe he doesn't know that he's muted.
Now you can talk.
Anil, sorry, couldn't hear you. Sorry?
Yeah,
Anil bhai,
what's happening?
Mute.
Arun is playing God.
No.
But though it's not a lockdown, Ajay,
correct.
It's almost like a lockdown in Bangalore. Literally, roads are empty, restaurants are empty, shops are empty. Yeah.
People had been careful, then it didn't have to come to this, no?
I think that fear, unfortunately, is needed. The self-imposed lockdown is far actually stopping people and sending them back. It should come to that. It should be self-regulated. Then we are okay, I think, to some extent.
You only get scared when every other family member of every person, is falling sick. Before that, everybody thought that they are immune. They can go and do whatever they want. It got so bad. It is absolute mayhem in Bangalore right now. I'm talking to people. I'm telling you, from morning meetings, I've heard of deaths. I've heard of ICUs. I've heard of severe shortages. People are struggling, calling, crying, asking for at least get me one oxygen cylinder or one hospital bed. It's that bad. And it's no more somewhere some numbers being reported. It's actually people people who are related to.
Yeah, and the sad part is it's a deja vu, right? It just feels like a deja vu. And which is I don't like all of her writing, but what's our friend's name? She wrote this Groundhog Day article. Twinkle Khanna. She wrote a very nice article this weekend.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, how every day seems like a repeat of the other.
Right.
We have a lot of startups who have joined. Can I request you to rename yourself? Just add the company name next to your name. It will help us. So there's an activity that is planned for this workshop, and we just want to put you in, separate breakout rooms. So it'll help us in putting you in the breakout rooms if you just append your company name to your name. Prakash, if you can add your company name.
Ajay, when two people have joined from the same link or same laptop, And what do? We just send them to the same room, right? There's no
If they're
option.
sharing a device, no choice. They have to be in the same room. Okay. Arun, do we have most folks in?
Just give it another 2 minutes, Ajay.
Okay. But like I was telling earlier, Shrikant wins the prize. So 5-star coming your way, Shrikant, soon.
Thank you so much.
And Anil also. Anil, you also get a prize for being constantly.
Anil is still on mute.
Anil is being
Still
given the
unmute.
prize for talking while unmuted constantly.
Yeah.
Still mute. Can't hear. Anil can't hear.
I don't know if he can even hear us.
Oh, good
Arun,
point.
can you try unmuting him? There you. No, he's back
No.
on mute.
I'll request him to unmute. I can only request him to unmute.
Now it's good. Anil.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, this is good. Finally, we get to hear you.
Yeah.
So we missed all your pearls of wisdom earlier.
Yeah.
I think Ajay is also making a subtle suggestion here, guys. For the rest of you all, maybe you all can turn on your videos.
Let's just see each other, say hi.
Yeah.
And then, as Anil said, the class will start.
You want to have a stick, I suppose, right?
Today
But
my
now, Anil bhai ne mujhe class master bana diya, I have to play the role now.
Hey, we are all assuming that he was talking to us. What if he was on video and he was actually having a conversation with someone else all this while on mute?
Yeah, I got a call from a family, so I just
See, thought so. Apologies, we keep pinging you to unmute yourself because we couldn't hear you.
But still, we will learn in next 1 hour. So still, I think it's a class for us. So everywhere, we're going to learn something from each other.
That's right. So that actually is a good point, Anil. Yes, we are going to learn from each other throughout the program. So yeah, we certainly are looking forward to that. Okay.
Ajay, let's start.
I think, yeah, good to see a lot more cameras are turned on. So let's begin. So good afternoon. Great to see most of you, if not all of you. For a few days. So we had a very good introductory session the other day. Hopefully we are getting a sense of who we are. But it may also be overwhelming because everybody is doing so many different interesting things. But hopefully over the next few weeks, we'll get to develop that appreciation of each other's work. So this, folks, is kind of starting point of a conversation or series of conversations through the whole program. If you recall from the introductory session we had last week, a few things stood out, for me at least. For me, at least 3 strands are very clear. One, most of you understood that we are together because each of you wants to really, really grow your business. Somebody said 10x, so maybe it is 10x, maybe it's 20x, maybe it's 5x. So growing and going in a healthy way, given what's happening in the environment, certainly is one thread that I picked up. Second group, right? Conversation, partnership, synergy, customer. We want to facilitate more of that. So that's the second thread. And third, of course, many of you have cited how, and that's what we are also, of course, pride ourselves in, is that by being part of this program and not a class, Anil, we bring connections to the larger ecosystem. It's investors within WF, Wadhwani Foundation, investors outside, customers, mentors, experts. Hopefully, we'll be able to open the right kind of doors for you. So if you keep just these 3 threads in mind, today's session is just getting started to some extent on each of these. So allow me to please pull up my presentation.
While you do that, Ajay, I just want to request everyone who has not appended their company name, the startup name, to their names to do so. Anil, I see you have not done that. Akshat, I see you have not done that. Can you please add your startup name to your name? Thank you.
Farah. And folks, by the way, there was a study of top phrases that have been used during a lockdown in meetings. You know what some of those phrases are?
Am I audible?
Good one. That's one. Top three, but definitely on.
You are on mute.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, Anil bhai ko bahut apply karta hai. And third one.
You are on mute.
अब वो आ गया. Third of another one which.
I'll be right back. Can you see my screen?
I'll be right back. वो भी है.
My internet is low.
Also the. Oh, so that's a good excuse for running away from classes, right? Okay. All cool ones. The one I want to use is, can you see my screen?
Oh, okay. We can see it now.
Good. All valid ones. So folks, like I said, welcome back. We're really, really excited to have her taking our respective businesses to the next level in our orbit. This workshop is called Metrics, and it's all about metrics. But I think it's about more than that. And I want to set the stage for that right away. Okay. You know, eventually, all of us are together, whether it's each of you trying to do the right thing for your venture, or it's the Wadhwani Foundation or the Venture Fast Track team. We are really interested in the success of your startup. Now, this phrase, by the way, is sometimes not very clear, and different people have different interpretations. Just curious, when you say startup success, what does success mean to you? Just a couple of thoughts. Some language on the screen, but what is success to you? If somebody were to ask you, let's say 1 or 2 thoughts.
How are you helping the customer achieve his goals?
Okay, very good. Is customer success excellent?
Profitability.
Profitability, great. One more. One more. Success for you.
Impact.
Sorry, say it again.
Impact.
Impact on
Customers or
okay. Could be impact as was customer success earlier, man. But some people also say I want to impact society at large. And that's fair, right? So everybody has a different definition. We are trying to respect your definition. At the same time, the common thread we're going to run through in our program is how can we help you build an organization that is fundamentally strong, that is hopefully able to handle these pandemics and other issues that will continue happening in our lives and have been happening in our lives. How do you build a really robust, strong, enduring organization that 10, 20, 30, 40 years later you'll be so proud of? That's really our intent. And not just building for organization for the sake of building an organization, but something that's viable and impactful, when you feel so. But because the definition is different, everybody looks at it with a different lens. I remember from the introduction, some of you did mention investments. Just a quick shout, how many have actually raised institutional funds? Just say yes, no? Just some.
Yes,
some voices.
this is Ambi, we have raised.
Okay. Others?
Yes, this is I3 Systems. We have raised 2 rounds.
Okay. Others?
Hi, it's Corey, and we raised a little bit from a foundation as well.
Hi, this is Anand from Agile Connects. We have raised from friends.
Friends.
Hi, this is Akshat from Finovate. We've also raised a couple of rounds.
Okay. Great. So we actually have experience in the room, which is fantastic. Is it fair to say fundraise at a decent valuation is everybody's kind of expectation or ask in life at this stage? Is it fair? We're at that point. They're more or less looking for funding. Either now, let's say 6 months down or a year down.
Yes, we're always looking for funding.
It's a means to an end.
Yes.
Ajay, sorry, I mean, we shifted to another room. Arun asked us to join. We all joined. So you have to maybe go back to a minute.
Just a minute. Ajay, just let me just apologize. So I'm just assigning you to the rooms. Please do not join those rooms. So once Ajay instructs you to join the rooms, please join them. Okay. So I'm just getting that thing sorted right now. So please do not get into the breakout rooms right now.
Okay.
Okay, but I can quickly summarize for those who may have missed. So we were essentially having a very brief conversation on what is success, right? And what is success for you? And it varies from organization to organization, depending on where you are in your stage of journey, your personal aspirations as a founder, and of the general viability of the business. And it could go from commercial success to, let's say, social impact and everything else in between. Now, so did I hear yes that by and large, being attractive to investors is a reasonable expectation from each of you? Did I hear that right?
Yes, that's one of them.
Right, that's one of them. Sure, and one of you very rightly said it's a means to an end. And I heard at least 4 or 5 of you actually raised the rounds. So good, let's do this together. For those who've already raised, you will have one view. Those who are about to raise or want to raise in the future, there'll be another perspective on this. What I want to share with you is a view from the other side. So as I mentioned in my introduction earlier, I've been an angel investor now for over 10 years, both at an individual family level and part of some angel investment groups as well. So there's a lot of proposals I get and reviews, a lot of pitching that I attend. Sometimes it is for investment, sometimes it's actually a business competition and there's some prize money, etc. I want to share with you a perspective that, and typically when you go for a pitching session, by the way, how long is a typical pitch? How long was your pitch last week? But in general, in investor pitches, how long? First pitch?
40 minutes to an hour.
Shrikant, you'll be lucky to get that kind of time.
I think you'll know in the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? I mean,
10 minutes, maximum 10 minutes.
Our pitch to Rajan Anandan was under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes. There you go. So two maybe time.
In fact, my pitch to Dheeraj Hinduja was an hour and a half. He gave me that much.
Excellent. No, that's great for you. And as you will see, sometimes to preserve time, they actually mix a few stages. I'll touch upon that. But
Correct.
2 maybe too tight. In my experience, I've never given anybody 2 minutes. I think it's unfair. I've also never spent more than 20 minutes in the first presentation. Over the first 1, 2, 3 presentation, usually it is 1 to 2 hours. So Shrikant, maybe there's a story there.
Right. You're right.
3 to 5, 7-ish is very, very common. Now, so we will, by the way, in this program, in a few weeks down the line, we will get into how to make a solid pitch. We'll work with each of you. Individually, practice session, we'll get investors in the room. We'll get there. This is not about that. This is me sharing from the other side. So when I hear a pitch for 5 minutes, and obviously I'm there because I'm interested in figuring out what's going on. My first reaction really is, that looks like an interesting idea. That was a good team. I like the pitch. They were engaging. That's all. You get to know very little about the business, but it looks like they're after something nice and unique, and it has promise. And that's all you can figure out in the 5 odd minutes. But as a founder, you need to pick that interest. You need to be able to investor go back and say, I remember this presentation. I don't remember detail, but Anil ne present kiya tha. Acha idea tha, usse baat karte hain dobara. If that response you get, that's a good response. But no investor, by the way, unlike Shark Tank and everything else you see on TV, nobody writes a check on the spot, ever. They will always want to get into a lot of details. But if you can get the second meeting, that's a win. And in that second meeting, and that's usually, Shrikant, a good 1 hour long meeting, where you get into the next level of details. Right. What really are you doing? What are your the traction so far? Where are you going? Why are you so different? How big is the market? Why do you need 4 million? Why? By the way, we have 2 concepts. Why do you need 4 million? Can you do with 2? Or why did you take 10? Both happen. All that. An hour plus. And in these days of COVID, in the last 1 year, usually, what used to get concluded over 3 to 4 meetings is now usually 6 to 8 Zoom calls. But that's the level of interest. But they're still not committed yet. Because there's one more, again, there can be many meetings, but usually finally the yes or a no again gets into a lot of conversations. What are the risks? What do I get for my money if I invest, 10 lakhs or 10 crores? What is going to get me especially for the technology companies, what does the product look like and what is so unique about it, back into financials and all kind of details, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year projections, cash flows, table, all that stuff happens in the final decision. Now, if you look at these series of conversations, what I want you to understand is these are conversations. It's not usually not until you reach the last stage will they say, "Acha, now we'll start doing some due diligence documentation." They're really talking to you. You're trying to understand the founder, your passion, how good your team is, how good your idea is, how good your market is. If you're servicing customers, they will talk to the customers, talk to the team, and then maybe make a decision. Now, if you look at all that they're asking, you will notice it's a combination. They're looking for intuitive hints. How will the team gelling? Is the team mentorable or not? Will they listen to me? And of course, hard numbers. Is your profitability going up year on year? What is your month-on-month revenue growth rate? Is your customer churn rate far greater than your customer acquisition rate? So the story of whether to invest or not, two messages, let me sum it up, is a series of conversations and data that is both data, which means quantitative, and a lot of qualitative stuff as well. All of this comes together and saying, yes, this is an interesting venture for me to fund. But that's an investor view. What we don't want to do, and we want to make sure we prevent, is that we don't start working on a pitch deck tomorrow. Because a pitch deck without the stuff at the bottom is nothing. And I've seen that. I've seen many presentations. Fancy schmancy PPTs, but hardly any business. So what we will work with you folks is bottom up. How do we build a great business? And we all recognize you can't build a great business in 3 months, but how do we at least sow the seeds of building a great business so that when you pitch, the response is, these are interesting guys. I want to talk to them. This is an interesting business. I want to see if I want to invest in them. And you, by going bottom up, you would have automatically done the homework. The fact that all of you running your businesses is great. A lot of this stuff is already sorted for you. But we'll also try to figure out some things you may not have paid adequate attention to. So that's the message. We are building a great business, as one of you rightly said. Funding is a means to an end. And funding also happens if the underlying business is robust. And we'll help you make a robust business. And even to build a robust business, we'll first figure out if there are any, for lack of a better word, cracks in your business today. Any questions or comments? Experience sharing, those who've raised funds. Was your experience any different, although they've raised institutional friends and personal friends? Any different?
Not much.
So Ajay, I don't know if it's too early, but do you have a suggested format that we could use, for just so that we get a practice of putting this across?
So the answer to both your questions, yes and yes. It is early and yes, we have a format.
Okay, great.
So we'll get to
Ajay, one more thing. I've done several pitches. Nobody talks about exit opportunities these days. Definitely not the good funds.
Yeah. And not in the first pitch. I agree with you. But when they get into the details, no? And by the way, exit opportunities is a conversation they'll have you, but some of this may be background homework they will do.
Yeah, they will do, and they will keep it, in their own investment thesis. But in all my pitches, nobody has ever spoken about exit opportunities.
Correct. But when you look at investment committee notes, or let's say investment committee presentations, it's always there in front of us. Finances, risk, team, possible exit opportunity. You may never see it. You're right. If the investor is friendly, they'll eventually reveal this to you. When they give you the money, they say, okay, our committee feels that there should be some exit in the next 5 years. They'll usually partner with you and tell you all that. But they have to do the calculation, no? Remember, they're running a fund. They have their own cash flow issues. They have their own return issues. They can't keep giving funds to people and not have any sense that yahan se aayega ki nahi aayega. They only get back only 10% of the return, but that's okay. But you have to project out everything out now from their side. From their side, they're also business. They're spending money has to keep coming back in certain ways. Not in 3 years, maybe 5 years. If not in 5, 8 years. By the way, we, if needed, VFT team, I'm just wondering, this topic came up, we have very interesting exercise where we actually show you real investment committee memos and should put real startups in front of you and let you decide as an investor. Would that be an interesting camera on the other side? You want to do that? Not today, but later.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So real startups, I will say you have the money now, you decide you want to give them 0 or 10 or 100. Okay, VFT team, maybe we'll do that IC memo exercise in a few weeks when we're getting close to the pitching preparations.
One small question here I have is, by and large, what is the number of pitches that one has to do before we can, expect some kind of funding? Is there some kind of a ballpark number that usually works, or it is totally unrelated?
No, I think it's a great question, but depending on who you talk to, you may have a different number. Let me hear from I'll give you my view. From my view as an investor and my view of working with portfolio companies. But let me hear from others who've raised funds. How many such pitches did you do before the funding happened?
I did around 4.
4 to the same or 4 different investors? 4 investors.
4 different investors.
4. So 4th is where you were landed the deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Others?
We from India Assist also did 4 before we landed our first investor, a seed investor. 4 different investors we pitched to.
4 different investors. And with each investor, of course, if there's interest, multiple presentations with them.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Others, your experience?
So, Malaysia, in our seed round, I think our 5th pitch converted. In our Series A, we pitched to, I think, 51, 52 investors and got 3 term sheets and then declined all 3 term sheets. So,
okay. So, Malesh, interesting story. Maybe in one of the sessions you can tell us about this story. So,
yeah,
but I think that folks is the 2 extremes you heard. 3 to 4 is an extreme. 40, I think, is also an extreme in my experience. Usually the number is 10 to 50. Usually. It varies, right? Sometimes you get the deal on the first shot. Usually 10 to 15 investors, which is why when we get into present, in a few weeks, we get into preparing for investments, it's like going for a job interview. If Google is your dream company, you don't set up the first interview with Google. You do a few lower risk, lower run companies and say, I'm going to practice a bit. 3-4 wo karte, maybe 5वां Google karenge. Similarly, you need to map your investors. Your most desired investor should be maybe 5th, 6th, 7th on your presentation roadmap. We'll get into that. Okay, but like I said, the big message here is, A, we will help you with your presentation, and not just presentation, we will get some investors in front of you. 2 is we are helping you build your business bottom up. And if you do that, pitching should come rather easy to all of you. Okay. Now, one of the things we started with today was to say we're all on a journey, right? Everybody has a different stage, different speed. Of course, industry is different. Of course, some of you have been around a couple of years, some have been around longer. Of course, some of you raised funds, others have declined funds, others haven't raised funds. But there's a continuum of startups out there. Based on the information that you see, I don't want to get into too much detail. Based on what you see on the screen and your own interpretation, just let me hear. Where are you? Are you A? Are you D? Are you C? Let me hear some.
We are in C.
C.
We are in F.
F.
Oh my God.
So first time is also in F.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
First type, we are in F.
F. Okay.
We are D.
D. Okay.
We are also somewhere between E and F.
Between E and F. Okay.
India is also in D.
D. Okay.
Ajay,
as well.
Ajay, this is interesting. All right, I'm just looking at this. Why is the revenue slump at E? You actually, or do I ignore that?
Again, this is gross generalization.
All
But
right,
usually what
yes.
happens is when startups launch, there's a flurry of early customers they're able to get, so-called early adopters. First 10 customers, somehow one way or another, they're able to get. But the journey to the next 90 is usually much harder. So that symbolically saying, just because you open the door, then you had great response in the first 2 months, doesn't mean the next 10 months will be as solid.
All right, I get that. Yes, I think we would be somewhere between E and F, or maybe something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So don't overread the highs and lows, they'll vary. But okay. It looks like I heard only one C, but looks like most of you are on the right of D.
Ajay, I have
one C.
I have a question. How do we know? I mean, whether we are an E and F?
Shrikant, you get two 5 stars. Not one. You get 2. You will get, because that is my next slide. That's exactly where I want to take the conversation. Okay, so Shrikant, thank you. But okay, let me just finish the statement there. So actually, if you're a D or E, in real terms, it doesn't matter. But in what it does matter in terms of the kind of push you need and kind of prioritization you need to do on stuff. Why? Because we've often seen things like startups growing prematurely. We've seen that happen. We've also seen startups that grow with not enough speed and traction. They actually miss opportunities. You don't want to be too slow. You don't want to be too fast. You don't want to be too sluggish in terms of revenues and cash flow problems. You don't want to become too attractive to too many investors early, by the way. That's also a strategy I will talk about in a few weeks. You want to be open to investors at the right time. You want to peak at the right time. But the $1 million question is, am I a D and a D and a half or an E? How do we figure it out? And that's exactly what we're going to do very soon. This is like story, the Wonderland story, Alice in Wonderland story, right? Similar quotation. You can open up any Google map, but it doesn't show you where you are. It doesn't really matter where you're going, how you're going, the long road show. Everything is irrelevant. The first thing you need in a Google map is where are you? And you want it to be accurate. Because that will decide whether you want to go 50 kilometers away, 20 kilometers away, this traffic, that traffic, all that stuff. So folks, we're going to do a little GPS of our own. So great question. Where are we now? Will determine where do we go next. So the next big question is, how do we determine? And there are many, many ways of doing it. I'll give you some hints. You can actually do a little peer conversation and today figure out where each of you is. You can. You can talk to 2 mentors and figure it out. The issue is mentor A will give you one story, mentor B might give you another story. You can go pitch to 3 investors, each will tell you where they think you are. Some will say, not enough traction, or others will say, not good product, whatever. Fourth, we actually have taken all the learnings and codified into certain instruments, but we're going to get to that instrument later. Right now, I want all of us to get to know each other well. So folks, this is the time to now respond to what Arun said earlier. We're going to split you up in 3 teams. Deliberately, you will not be with your co-founders. As a group, so let's say there are 8 people in the group. As 8 people, as diverse as your startups are, don't worry about it. It'll be great if you come back and share common strengths and areas of improvement for the group as a collective. If you're able to find a few, I'm sure you'll find 2, 3. As 8 startups, this is common strengths we have 3. And these are the 3 things we're all struggling with as we speak. We'll facilitate. The FT team will be with you in that discussion. So Arun, I'll let you orchestrate this. 3 groups, 10 minutes for your discussions. Come back. We want to hear from each of you, each team.
Perfect.
Arun?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Ajay. So I have assigned each one of you to one group each, and I have a VFT team member in each of these groups who will facilitate the entire 10 minutes for you. So please join the respective.
Please join, please participate, please open up. As I said, this is one way for you to get to know each other far, far better. Next This is the next layer of the onion that we're going to peel together. So good. Have fun. See you in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arun, are you opening up the rooms?
It's open, G. So
I am not assigned to any room, Arun.
you're assigned to group B.
Okay.
On that breakout rooms for at the bottom.
I think you guys are the only ones who did not join your groups. And Malish.
Actually, it's a good idea. Arun, let each VFP team member just quietly be part of a group discussion.
Yeah, so I'll assign our folks Mayank, Renuka, and Vaibhav also.
Please assign.
Yeah.
Guys, just be quiet, but just listen to the conversation. We'll be enriching, I think, for all of us.
Sure.
Hi, Arun. This is Akshat here. Can you?
Akshat. Hi, Akshat. Are you just joining?
No, Ajay, I was there. I'm just we happen to be in the same room, both co-founders, me and Ajay.
Oh, I see. So
Arun, can you assign me to room B?
Done.
Or whatever other group.
I moved it to a different room.
Thank you.
Akshat, you're facing any challenges in joining? So Ajay, I made you the co-host, so you can join any room that you want.
Okay, breakout rooms. Okay. I'll just move around the rooms. Huh?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, please. Hansli. Hey, Tushar. Hello.
Hello,
Yeah, Tushar, you're from which company?
from MB.
Ambi, right? So yeah,
Yes.
Tushar, I'll just assign you to one of the rooms. Okay. Just give
Okay.
me 1 minute. Please join that room.
Okay, Arun, I know it's starting to come back, right?
Yeah, Jay. So I've closed all the rooms, so it should close in like next 30 seconds.
They'll be automatically brought into the main room?
Yes. So they will be given a warning message to go back to the main room. And in another 20 seconds, they'll automatically be thrown into the main room.
Correct. No, I was there in one of the sessions, so I could see the warning signal on the screen.
Yeah. So this is the first time that I'm using breakout rooms. So yeah.
Maresh, welcome back. Oh, everybody else is coming in.
Yeah, no choice.
Welcome back.
So welcome back. Unlike real rooms where you can linger and after the conversation go for a cup of coffee, Zoom will force you to come back.
That's right. It was good, Ajay. I mean, it was good questions. I was myself confused. I'm now I realize where I am. Simple, basic questions.
Okay, and we'll of course get to hear from each of the teams. So welcome back. Just as in general, any quick observation, listening to others, did it validate, did it support? Just quick reactions, anyone?
We have a similar kind of approach towards this.
Okay.
I think by and large, promoters have a fairly confident mindset about their own team as well as their own technical capabilities.
Perfect.
And is it confident on the verge of being realistic or optimistic?
I think that will depend on case-to-case basis.
Optimistically realistic.
Okay, cool. So let's hear some summary thoughts from each team. So team A, may I request, just share your thoughts, and team B and C, please feel free to ask questions. Again, we don't want to challenge their list, but if we don't understand stuff, we can certainly ask. So team A, can we have it on the screen?
Anand, will you go ahead?
Yeah, so I guess the three common areas or strengths that we felt were more prevalent in our group are: one is the technology platform that our companies have respectively built, the promoters' experience is the second one, and third one.
Aljo, can you have what was the third point?
Which was the third point? I have written it. Technology understanding. Yeah, all right. Experience team, domain knowledge. So technology understanding or domain knowledge, experience team, and great platform. These were the common ones in terms of strength.
Your technology, sir. I mean, you did a nice PPT here also. Ours was simple Word document.
And as far as the challenges were concerned, I think scaling up sales marketing efforts, that was one challenge that was felt by more than two companies. Be better at tech hiring was felt by two companies, and scaling up manufacturing was felt by two companies who are into hardware manufacturing kind of and effective marketing again is felt by two companies. So I guess these are typical growth challenges that companies like us face.
Yeah. Thank you, Anand. Very crisp. Any questions? Teams B and C, any questions from the entire team A? We don't want to shoot the messenger. So not only for Anand, for anybody on the team.
We are in sync. We are arriving at the same thing, Anand.
That'll be interesting. Okay, then let's jump into team B and let's see what those overlaps are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Prakash, can you?
Yeah.
Team B.
You can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think from the strengths perspective, the common theme was the team, the culture of the team, and the product know-how and the technology. That seems to be the common theme between all the startups. And from the areas of improvement, GTM, especially outside of India, communicating the message, customer engagement, and scalability. Interestingly, nobody mentioned funding as the issue or a problem so far at least.
Maybe that will come up later.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let me understand. What is the second one? You said GTM for global market?
Yeah, GTM and the scalability, customer scalability.
So did you mean the scalability of acquiring customers or scalability of servicing larger customers?
Scalability of acquiring customers. Yeah.
Also prioritizing which customers to,
So.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Team B? We're already seeing trends, but we'll hold our horses till Team C is presenting. Okay, thank you, team. Team C, please.
Nestor is going to present.
Oh, all right. I'll just. I think the strengths were the same in the sense product was a strength. The team composition was a strength, and one thing which always came out was the technology. Everybody was proud of the technology and the platform. From weaknesses, funding seemed to dominate. Scaling dominated. When I say scaling, everybody mentioned different aspects of scaling, such as processes, hiring, cash flow, and the third one, if I could slot it, was of course marketing and acquiring more customers. I would have seen that as part of scaling attraction.
Okay. Okay, Nestor. Thank you. Teams A and B, any questions for the team? C here. Okay. Thank you. So I think the trend is very obvious, right, folks? It's very interesting. If I may try to summarize, it appears the core technology platform of the product seems to stand out for most of us, as does either the initial team of co-founders or the team that you gather around yourself, the early team. That also seems to be working very well for most of you. These two stood out as key strengths. In terms of areas, I don't know if there are areas of improvement, areas of focus / prioritization going forward. I think customer acquisition, whether we call it go-to-market, whether we call it marketing only or sales, acquiring customers at scale seems to have standing out, whether it's domestic or global, both kinds. Scaling operations also stood out, as Nestor was explaining, right? Whether it's hiring or other operational processes. Financing / funding didn't kind of come out, but more from Team 3 than anybody else. Interesting. Did I sum it up well? Any thoughts?
No, I think you did it well.
Okay, so the good news of having a lot of overlaps is it helps us not just learn from each other, right? Some of us may have already figured out some of these challenges, others maybe in the journey. Also, to be honest, it helps us as VFT team figure out the kind of solutions we need to bring to you. So basis this and basis some other instruments we'll run with you over the next almost a week, it will help us sharpen and customize our workshops, materials, tools, connections, etc. that we bring to you. So thank you, folks. So as much as I hope it's peer value, there's certainly value as VFT for us in this. Okay, so thank you again, and I'm going to go back in the presentation. Okay, so this is the question Shrikant had asked. So remember, we started from this slide. Okay, A, B, C, D. I don't know. It looks like we're here. We kind of have a sense of where we are qualitatively. That these three things are working well for us. These are the three broad areas for us to look at. We're going to do another exercise in which we're going to talk largely about numbers. But before we do that, very quick exercise. I'm going to request each of you on a separate tab on your desktop. Or if you don't have a desktop, then I guess mobile phone. Then if you could just open this link and just confirm that the link is opening. You may not be able to do anything on it, but as long as the link is opening, we're okay. So just give me a thumbs up if the link opens.
Yeah, it's opening.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just like we did some sharing about our business, background, strengths, we're going to talk about metrics in the next part. So I want you to think of the one metric that is the most important. For example, revenue. So you can't say revenues anymore. It is too obvious. The one metric that you think is critical for your business. Write your response, and we can all see it here. Let me just activate it. You can, and by the way, if you're going to write multiple words, for example, if you're going to say monthly revenue, then just put a hyphen between the two words. I'm going to activate it and show response. So go. One metric, everyone. If you're going to use multiple words, please hyphen it. Go ahead. Only one. Okay, hyphenate please. I'm seeing multiple, more than one word, just hyphen. If it's word A, B, C, A dash B dash C, it all comes together. Numbers. Okay, so we're seeing cash flow, culture, numbers, metric. Okay, try to use hyphens, otherwise it splits the words up. Okay, looks like we're done. It seems to be stopping here. Oops. Oops, sorry. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Okay, VFT team, if you can take a quick snapshot of this, screenshot of this. Okay. Okay, thank you, folks. So let's have a little conversation around it. I know some of the hyphenation issues here. So, what pattern are you seeing, if any? What are those numbers that are top of mind for you? That of course you need to not just track but also improve as you go along.
Monthly cash in should be more than monthly cash out.
Okay. Monthly cash flow is right there. Cash flows come up 2-3 times. Very interesting. There's somebody put culture. I'm wondering what metric you were thinking around that. I'm very curious. Whoever put culture, how do you put a metric on it? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just curious to know your views.
I think
Culture
maybe
is something that you can't measure. It's a result of plenty of things over a period of time. So very hard to put a metric to culture.
So I haven't put it, but I think one of the ways to maybe measure it is by the attrition, right? So maybe if the attrition is low, that's maybe the people don't want to leave the organization. Maybe that's one of the way to track culture.
Sure, that's one of the indicators for sure.
Also, how many people want to join your organization also?
Yeah.
About what people think about outside.
Maybe your Glassdoor reviews of the company, and then maybe those could be.
Correct. You can run employee sat surveys.
And also your overall product quality also reflects how culture is inside your company.
Yeah. True. And we're going to talk about some more metrics. Now, is there one metric that's standing out? My sense is there are a lot more financial metrics here than anything else. There's some customer metrics and there are lots of financial metrics. Is that correct? Customer revenues, cash flow, funding, disbursements. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to save this, and whichever ones you're focusing on, we'll come to that, but I'll tell you where we're going with this. So we had you talk a little bit about qualitative strengths and improvement areas. We had a quick snapshot of metrics, whether they are hard metrics like revenues or soft metrics like culture. You saw that roadmap earlier where you are. Please,
Ajay, should I close this window?
Please do. Please do. We've taken a snapshot. Thank you.
No, how do I get back? Okay, I'm here. Right.
Just kill that window, whichever window you open.
Right.
So the point that we want to make with you is that growth and continuous growth, for that matter, is an ongoing journey. It actually never stops. We have tried to capture that essence in these 5 stages, and we'll try to figure out where you are. And it's important for you to know where you are, because if you know you are level 2, you know you have 3 more levels to work on. And if you notice what level 5 is called, please. Do you see how it's different from the others? This is our framework for mapping startups. Do you see what level 5 is called in terms of name?
Continuous innovation.
So how is name of level 5 different from level 2, 3, or 4 or others? There's a word. So the word continuous is important. The point we're making, your friend, that you actually never arrive. When you're 5, you'll be in a position to define your own 6, and a 7, and an 8. But as far as this program is concerned, we'll help you map where you are and help you figure out the next steps. And it's an ongoing journey. Okay, so we're going to get into the program bit a bit. So how does the program flow? We are, as we said last week, we have actually codified a lot of our learning, and all of that comes to you as a platform that we bring to you, platform that helps you understand your business, take things forward, move that needle, make the connections. The broad steps this program will follow is, you already got a glimpse of step number 1. We did kind of step 0.1 today. But we're going to do some more structured instruments to figure out, help you really understand as a startup, and you can do the exercise with your team members offline, where are you today? And it's not theoretical, it's not conceptual, it's very practical stuff. So if it's finance, where exactly are you in finance? If it's culture or human capital, somebody said earlier, where are you on that? If it's customer servicing or customer acquisition, where are you on that? All of that we need to figure out, basis which our team will sit with you and help you prioritize and set those goals. Now, please, we understand some goals may be achievable in 3 months that we are together in the program mode. Some may take 8 months, and that's okay. We'll set all kinds of goals. In any case, if you remember what we said, that this relationship is not just 3 months, but long term. We'd like you to set some 3-month goal, at least 1 or 2 goals. Others may be longer term. But the key here is the word prioritize. You often startups, as they're growing, and I'm sure you will relate to this, there's tons of stuff to be done. There's tons of priorities, issues, challenges, even opportunities. Which one to pursue? As I think somebody earlier said, which customer should I go after? So really prioritizing and narrowing your focus will continue to be a conversation we have with you throughout. But are you narrow enough and yet strong enough to continue growing? And of course, once we do that prioritization, we'll help you work on your plan, whether it's connections or fundamental business changes, whether it is helping you be more presentable to investors, whether it is sharpening your GTM, maybe how do you go about expanding globally. We'll try to bring all the solutions and we'll work together on this. So this, folks, is a virtuous cycle we believe that will run, not just for the 3 months, but ongoing. And we encourage you to imbibe this as a process that you can follow, your teams can follow. Where are we? Let's do an objective eval. Let's set a goal. Let's track to it. Get it. Great. We didn't get there. Why not? And keep moving on. This is the heart of our methodology of working with startups of all shapes, sizes. And by the way, we do it across the globe. We don't have to get into it, but the point we really wanted to make was metrics are of all kinds. We had that conversation earlier, finance versus culture, but all kinds, we'll get into that. We're not limited to only hard numbers. Okay, so where do we go from here? Like I said, the beginning is step 1, which is honest, objective. It looks like standing in front of a mirror and having the mirror speak truth to you. And full truth, not just show a great face, but give me a full profile. So where are we? So there is a qualitative side to it. We'll bring that instrument to you over the next couple of days. Then we'll bring a quantitative instrument to you maybe early next week. and say, from metric A, where do you stand? Metric B, where you stand? Metric C, do you see uptrend? Do you see a downtrend? Is metric A conflicting with metric B? And that can happen. All of those. Basis which, towards maybe the end of next week, we'll sit down with each of you and help you prioritize your goals for 3 months and ahead. So that's really setting up the journey more than anything else. There's a lot of work coming our way. I want to thank you in advance. I'm also warning you, as much as we will do these conversations as a group, there's a fair amount of work coming up in one-to-ones with our VFT team, and some external one-to-ones and mentoring we'll set up for you. Maybe perhaps some external work we'll set up, ask you to do with your customers, for example, or your team members. So please, I urge you to give time to the program. Not only are you taking back, you're also contributing. And all of us will benefit if you do this. So I'll pause here, A, to invite any questions that you might have, and B, also to see if the VFT team has any other comments to make.
Ajay, can we have access to this presentation itself?
Sure, absolutely. You can do it after the session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share that with everyone, Ajay. Thank you.
And the poll has come up, Arun.
Yeah, please take the poll.
Take the poll. And please realize we are setting the stage for doing a lot of analysis and understanding to do that 5x, 10x growth for your business.
I'm sorry. On the poll, is 1 the highest or 10 the highest?
10 is the highest.
All right. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
So, yeah,
I'm so glad you
just that. Yeah. If you're really satisfied with the session, just go with 9 and 10. If you're passive about it, 7 and 8. And anything you don't like the session, you could rate from 1 to 6.
Okay, so while you are completing the poll, any other comments, logistics team you want to talk about? Or there's already a calendar of events that we stick to?
Yeah, no, just to kind of reiterate what you said, in the next 2 days, we'll send across the tool, which will kind of give you an assessment of your qualitative aspects of the business, right? And I think Monday, Tuesday, we will send the quantitative tool, right? So what we want you to do in the meantime, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is for yourselves assess the metrics that you have been measuring and what you haven't measured and the metrics that matter the most, right? So on a personal front, we would like you all to sit together as teams and kind of put some thought and put it on paper. What are the metrics that matter for your business? Which are the ones that you are already monitoring? And then we'll discuss that together in the coming week. Yeah, are you all with me? I mean, all of you are muted. Maybe you can take off your mute, switch on your cameras. We're going to close the session.
All good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So any questions? You guys have access to the program team, right? That's Farah, me, and Arun at any time. You can just shoot it out on the WhatsApp group or send us an email. Yeah. But essentially, please do the homework, sit together with your team, look at the metrics that matter for your business, the ones that you're monitoring, and what's been left out. Yeah. We'll come together and discuss that along with our tool. G, have I missed out on anything you want to say, add?
I think Kanchli covered everything. But if there are any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer.
It was a great session.
Okay, and Srikanth is not saying that because he got 2 5 stars.
Pardon?
You're not saying that because we offered you 2 5 stars, right?
You should have said that before. You would have got a lot more responses.
All right, folks, thank you for giving us your time. Look forward to a lot more conversation, lot more interaction, and all the best. Stay safe.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
See you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
We have to teams.